Hey guys, I'm here near a little mini waterfall not far from my house. And in this video, I'm kind of gonna rant on why I don't really want to live in Canada anymore. And I basically already recorded it, and I just wanted to give you guys some visuals as I play the recording. One thing I should emphasize before I start is that obviously I don't mind. Canada is a beautiful country in terms of the nature, but as I play the video and reasons why I've left, yeah, just know that it has nothing to do with the actual beauty of Canada itself, but all the other issues. Okay, so here I am at the waterfall, and I'm going to show you the journey I took to get here. All right, guys, bye. Hey guys, I figured I'd do a video just explaining why I left Canada and why I don't have much desire, hardly any desire at all actually, to live there again, unless things change for the better. Okay, so the most obvious, the bad weather. It's like below freezing for half the year. Spring, some people like it, I don't. I have allergies, and yeah, it's just sneezing all the time. Then mid-June till the end of September, I'd say, is really nice, like the summer and then a little bit into the fall. That's great. But aside from that, it's just very cold and unpleasant and boring, and yeah, I don't want to be here for that. Okay, number two, it's expensive. Obviously, Canada is very expensive, and they keep making it more expensive by just spending a ridiculous amount of money, just wastefully. This administration, I saw that they've spent more money just under this administration than all previous prime ministers throughout the country's history. And they don't seem to be letting up. And they keep adding carbon taxes on everything, and they keep raising them. And then not only do they keep raising the carbon taxes, which makes everything more expensive, they add tax to the tax. So yeah, I mean, I think they're just almost intentionally trying to make it expensive. Now, and then on top of the high cost of living, then there's high taxation. So if you're in like a high income bracket, you're going to pay almost half your money just in income tax rate off the top. And then you have, I mean, the province I'm in, there's about 13% sales tax. And then there's all kinds of fees for everything. And they just really know how to get it out of you. Now, it's one thing that, say, if you're paying all these taxes, people say, oh, well, you have free healthcare. Well, it's obviously not free. You're paying for it. But not only that, there's millions of people in this country that don't even have a doctor right now. And I mean, if you have an emergency, you can go to the emergency room and they'll see you. I think it just works on a system where the person who's in the worst shape gets the attention. But if you have like a non-serious surgery, or you need treatment that's not life-threatening, then you can end up waiting a very long time. And yeah, like I said, millions of people in this country pay a lot of money in taxes, and they don't have a family doctor. And to make matters worse, the government's intent on just bringing millions of more migrants into the country. And if you can accommodate them, fine. But there's millions of people here that don't have a doctor right now. So yeah, that's an issue. And then obviously that drives up the cost of housing even more than it already is. It's already a bad value. You're already going to pay $500,000 for like a basic house here. And some provinces like BC, you're going to pay $1 million for one. So the cost of living is not ideal. And if I'm to think about it, after traveling throughout the world, and I see the value I can get in other countries, why would I pay more to live somewhere that I don't regard as being better? It's almost like, why would I pay more to sit in economy when I can sit in first class for cheaper? I view Canada almost like an economy seat that I have to pay more for. Like it's uncomfortable. I mean, it's like, yeah. Why would I? If I'm to compare Thailand to Canada, Thailand to me is considered first class. I love it there. The weather's great. It's always exciting. People are always out doing stuff. And if I'm going to compare that to Canada, like if you just let me live in both locations, and then you didn't tell me anything about the price, and you said, which one do you think is more expensive, right? I'm going to be like, well, obviously Thailand's more expensive. It's way better. Right? But no, Canada's more expensive. So living in Canada and paying more to live in Canada is almost like I'm paying more to sit in economy class. I'd rather pay less and take first class, which would be Thailand or any of these other countries that I went to. There's so many options that are better than here. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that. Okay, so what else? Okay, life in Canada is very repetitive, especially in the winters. In the summer, people try to get out. Maybe they go to a patio, have some drinks to socialize a little bit. But half the year, when it's freezing, people just go to work, they come home,
they get food for the kids or whatever they do. They turn the TV on and they just get brainwashed by the government-funded propaganda, CTV or CBC or whatever it is. And yeah, people are just very isolated for like at least half the year. And my days here feel like they're just on repeat. It's very repetitive. Now, in other countries, people, they don't watch as much TV and they have more of a day-to-day mentality. Whereas it's Canada, they're all just thinking about their retirement 20 years down the road, So they're just grinding and they're not enjoying the moment. In places like Malaysia and Thailand and probably Mexico, all these other places, there's more energy. There's more like people want to get out. They finish work and then they go enjoy life. Even I was in even Malaysia with my girlfriend. I think I filmed a video of it. We were in a restaurant. It was like midnight. It was packed. Kids, everyone's on the street it was a weeknight. Everyone's just out enjoying just being out. They're not sitting at home in front of the TV, right? They barely even watch TV in these countries. Okay, so yeah. In Canada, I feel like I'm just reliving the same day over and over. I could live in Canada for months and then I will have no exciting stories to tell whatsoever. Whereas if I go to one of these other countries that I like spending time in, I'll have 20 stories within 1 month, right? So my next gripe with Canada is a nanny state. Canada, well, first of all, Canada is a literal corporation. You can look up the company registration. The government of Canada is a corporation, and this holds true with a lot of different countries. And it seems that as a corporation that's likely for profit, they want to generate as much revenue as possible. And to do this, one of the ways they do this, aside from the excess taxation and whatnot, is they apply so many rules and so many fines for everything. So, for example, I don't drink, right? But just as an example, if I'm in Thailand, right, or most countries I've been to, I can go, aside from like the Islamic countries, it's a no-go there. But say if I'm in Thailand, I can go anywhere. I can go to a 7-Eleven, grab a beer, walk around the street, walk along the beach, have the beer. If I go to the mall, they sell like beer towers in the food court. People don't care. It's just live and let live. Just don't act like a fool and don't hurt anybody. In Canada, you can't do that. In Canada, I remember, okay, here's an example. One time I came back, I had just arrived in Canada from an overseas flight. I had a layover in Toronto, and I stayed at a friend's condo there. And that night we went walking around the nightlife area, and there were these cops on bicycles, and they were just harassing people, pulling people over, and trying to sniff their water bottles because they wanted to see if there was vodka in it. Okay, there's no reason to do that. If you're just walking down the street holding a bottle, what appears to be a bottle of water, and you're not acting a fool, you're not hurting anybody, why do they care? They're just trying to find any reason they can to give you a fine to generate revenue for the state. Maybe they have quotas or I don't know, but it's ridiculous. They're just harassing you for nothing. And going back to Canada being a nanny state, when we had what they call a pandemic, all the lockdowns and stuff, they were so ridiculous. I couldn't get a haircut for months. I had to go to I had to go to like some guy's house to get haircuts. And then you would go in the store and they would block off certain non-essential items. And like, oh, you couldn't buy socks. You couldn't buy all that. It's like, that's ridiculous. I know other places did that. Mainly Western countries did that. They sure didn't do that in in Mexico. They didn't do any of this stuff in Mexico. But people here for the longest time, they were living with such high levels of restrictions. And then they would turn the TV on and they would see in a Republican state, like a big, huge football game. And the stadium's packed. No one's wearing a mask. And here you couldn't even go get a haircut or buy socks. And I guess this was considered acceptable to people. I don't know. I don't know why people weren't more upset about it. Even with like the NHL, because it's the U.S. and Canada, they play against each other sometimes. Canadians will watch the games that are in the U.S. full crowd of people, and then in Canada they put like little cardboard like depictions of people, just like fake people in the crowd to make it look like it was a packed stadium. It was ridiculous. So. Yeah, I'd rather live in a place that offers more freedom, right? I wasn't a fan of any of that stuff. And getting to that even more so, during that time, Canada became really tyrannical. I wasn't allowed to go on a plane, go on a train, or any of this unless I submitted to the government mandated supplement. And you know what? It's one thing if, you're coming into this time, this weird time, and you're just kind of stuck with the government you have, right? Because there's no election or whatever. But during this, they called a snap election, and that was his campaign promise, to ban millions of people from public transit and all these things. He even said it in his camp. It was one of his campaign promises that that people that did not take the government mandated supplement could not get on planes and trains, and he got millions of votes. So that really pissed me off. That made me realize that the people around me, they don't think like me. They're not like freedom lovers. Yeah, and I just don't really want to be around those kind of people, right? I don't have the communist mindset, the authoritarian mindset. I'm not down with any of that. I'm a libertarian. I like freedom. So I just don't fit in here, right? These are not really my people. Yeah. Okay, and I'll tie that into another thing with the tyranny and whatnot. Canada is run by members of the World Economic Forum, the WEF. And I know this because the head of the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab, literally bragged. He bragged about penetrating, his words, he penetrated the Liberal cabinet. About half of the Liberal cabinet, he said, are from him. They're young global leaders. They went through the World Economic Forum training program. So all that means is that they're not serving Canada first. They're serving what Klaus Schwab wants. And to figure out what Klaus Schwab wants, all you have to do is go on the World Economic Forum website and do some reading. And they say by 2030, we will own nothing and be happy. Well, I'm not really, I like owning things. I don't want to own nothing. I don't want digital IDs or digital currencies. I don't want any of these things that Canada will likely try to roll out in the near future. So, I mean, why would I stick around for that? Okay, another reason why I don't want to live in Canada is the woke culture. Again, I mentioned I'm a libertarian. I don't really care what people do behind closed doors. I don't really care what consenting adults do. But it's gotten to the point where it's kind of crazy. Yeah, to me, it's kind of crazy. And the one thing that bothers me is the grooming in the schools, right? The drag queen story hours, the parades where men walk around naked in front of children. Like, just do what you want. I don't care. I'm not a homophobe. I'm a libertarian. Do what you want, but don't flash children, right? I think that's reasonable. So this just recently happened, like, I guess Pride Month. Yeah, they had the parades. Naked guys walking around in front of kids. And the police don't do anything about it. It's like, well, I'm pretty sure that's illegal. Yeah, you're not supposed to just be walking around naked in front of kids. But yeah, I guess it's cool. I guess it's cool here. You can do whatever you want. And then, I always looked at Canada as a good place to grow up. It's like I had a good childhood, whatever. But would I want to put my kid in a public school today? No, because they're going to try to groom him and convince my son that he's a girl and maybe try to get him to chop his dick off. And in Canada, if you refuse that, I guess you can get in trouble. They don't. There's like an attack on parental rights now. So I think Trudeau recently called people that believe in parental rights far right. It's like, okay, I have better options in here. I don't have to deal with this stuff. So yeah, I'd rather just leave. So yeah, that's it, guys. That about wraps it up. Take care. Bye.